Hi friends, today we are going to see what is Hyperledger Fabric and I am just going to start this as an Hyperledger Fabric part 1 because I am going to from here I am going to continuously talk about Hyperledger Fabric as well as I am going to try some hands-on demo and then how you can build your Hyperledger Fabric network. All this we will see. So whoever is very new with blockchain or whoever is pretty new with the beginner in Hyperledger Fabric, no you can watch this. Basically I have been taken this notes from the Hyperledger Fabric no public site where it is publicly published the PDF. From there I have collected and based on my understanding I tried to give you the overview of it. The current version of Hyperledger Fabric is version 2.1 and I the PDF is available in the Hyperledger Fabric org. Basically I know there's a site where you can download this. So now we can go into Hyperledger Fabric. So you can see here the Hyperledger Fabric is one among the lot of Hyperledger platforms. I mean, in the Hyperledger there is lot of other Hyperledger Bureau, Hyperledger Sawtooth, Hyperledger Explorer, lot of. So this is to understand what is Hyperledger Fabric, and this you can see this is the logo of Hyperledger Fabric, and this is how the Hyperledger Fabric is mentioned. So if you are no, if you want to be familiarized with Hyperledger Fabric and if you see any documents, you can identify Hyperledger Fabric with this logo and this font. Basically, Hyperledger Fabric is for enterprise grade permissioned distributed ledger platform that offers modularity and versatility for the broad set of industry use cases. This is an enterprise private blockchain, okay, and this has modularity to do any industrial use cases. That is why we focus more on Hyperledger Fabric right now because it is more modular than other blockchain frameworks. So let's start. Hyperledger, before going into Hyperledger Fabric, you have to know Hyperledger was established under the Linux Foundation. Basically, this is the one of the project under the Hyperledger group where Linux Foundation, who is establishing the ecosystem of Hyperledger. The one among that is just this organization basically has 200 developers and they have the big development environment. You can this is an open source community basically. So Hyperledger Fabric and Hyperledger will be the open from the open source community. So it's more of open source framework. Okay, and here about Hyperledger Fabric, as we have discussed before, you should understand Hyperledger Fabric is an open source enterprise grade permissioned distributed ledger technology platform, DLT platform. Okay, designed to use enterprise context that delivers some key differentiating capabilities over the popular distributed ledger or blockchain platform. So here again, for our basic guys or beginners who starting with the blockchain and Hyperledger Fabric, they need to understand this is open source and this can be used for enterprise, and this is a private blockchain and this is modular to suit any no any architecture. This gives continuity, resilience, flexibility and scalability. So since we use this for enterprise, all this capability is there, and we can also it has some pluggable supports of doing different things in the ecosystem. And if we are the first time user in blockchain and we want to for first time user in blockchain, I want to create a blockchain solution. This has a lot of specific features like ready-made available tools to make us implement the Hyperledger Fabric with easy technical no technical documentations, demos and APIs. So even the beginner can start with Hyperledger Fabric. So the materials are available and it's very clear how to set up it. So this is why Hyperledger Fabric is more focused right now in the blockchain ecosystem. Now, why we need Hyperledger Fabric? So as we discussed before, it's modular and configurable. Definitely, no, when it is modular and configurable, you can make more innovation solutions based on the industry. It can be retail, it can be finance, and it's no to cryptocurrency. Okay, we are going to say no to cryptocurrency in Hyperledger Fabric. There is no point of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or ecoin, Litecoin. No to cryptocurrency. That is where we stick to the permission blockchain. So this is more of, you can use in banking, finance, in insurance, healthcare, HR, supply chain, lot more. Almost all where database can be used. But as a technology, yes, but the use case requires some trust and no trust, transparency, and the blockchain capabilities. Every industry can go with Hyperledger Fabric. But when you, and one more thing is the permission, it's an there is difference between permissionless and the permission. The Ethereum, this Bitcoin, all cryptocurrencies basically is a permissionless network where any participant. This may lead to untrust, maybe because your participants are anonymous, your parties are anonymous, and the transaction between them is different. But in Hyperledger Fabric, it will be known participants, and it makes more security and governance model for the participants, have the legal agreement and framework for handling these kind of disputes between the participants. So this is more of our industry what we are needed right now, and a lot of challenges we are facing. We're going to fix with blockchain, then definitely we should stick with the permission to blockchain, where it also gives no it makes a different structure altogether from the cryptocurrency, where everyone in the network is known participants and they have some role to play on it. This can be controlled by smart contract. We will be later seeing it. Okay, then what is blockchain? Why we see, we are talking about Hyperledger Fabric, right? Blockchain is basically a distributed ledger technology. Okay, and we call it as the distributed ledger is heart of blockchain. Okay, the blockchain network is, you consider a four node a blockchain network. Heart of it is distributed ledger, and it records all the transaction. A blockchain ledger is often decentralized. It's a decentralized technology, and replicated many participants across the networks. So, and collaborate powerful attributes with the mirror and the exchange of goods. Okay, using smart contract. Basically, it is a distributed ledger technology. It uses one single ledger between the parties. It is a decentralized network. It doesn't have the centralized. All participants should validate it to make the thing, and all this covers on the blockchain. And one of the product which gives all these features is Hyperledger Fabric. Even this can be done with Ethereum. This can, because Ethereum has more public and private, this can be done with Hyperledger, Sawtooth, or any other blockchain framework basically. So all this is there in Hyperledger Fabric. Is one of the framework which satisfies this all these conditions. Okay, so Hyperledger Fabric is not only one technology; it's one of the many technology in the blockchain. So we do this blockchain using Hyperledger Fabric. Similar way, if you want to understand simply, we use AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, but there is something called cloud computing, which says on demand of no virtual machines. When you demand for your server, you can pay for 1 hour, 2 hour. That is, if you want to take that, you have to go with the AWS. AWS is a product, and cloud computing is a concept. Similarly, blockchain gives the concept. Hyperledger Fabric is the product to implement that concept basically. Okay, so I hope it's an initial video. We should be very clear with our understanding going forward. That is why I'm also covering the basic part of. Then, no, when we say blockchain, the heart of the blockchain is distributed ledger. What is distributed ledger? Okay, so when we have a decentralized network, okay, this with many participants, in this diagram you can see you have a banker, you have a logistics, you have a vendor. So you can consider, okay, there is four participants, and they have one, this guy have one ledger, bank have one ledger, this participant 2 have another ledger, the participant 3 have another ledger, the participant 4 have another ledger. But this seems to be four ledger, but they four share single ledger. Okay, if there is a data in this bank, the same data will be replicated across everywhere. So logically, it's a single ledger. Physically, it has four nodes. Okay, you will understand more when you learn this concept. Basically, what ledger will have? Ledger will have the blocks. So block, what block contains? Block contain your data, and then timestamp, and then the cryptography. Basically, your data is your block. So when any data is written from the banker or from the logistics or from the another party, this will be added to their ledger, basically their ledger, but it will be replicated to others. So it is distributed. Basically, the same database is distributed over everywhere. For example, a banker sends a logistic person with some parcel, and this guy have to pay 50 rupees. Okay, and now what happens if this is an anonymous network? There is no communicate. There is the each one have to communicate with them. Right now, they use single ledger, but if you do database, then there is other issues as well, because these everyone is in the public network, and your database became public. We will discuss more about it. You should understand what is decentralization. Basically, we don't have one single database for all these four people. Like, we have four parties doing the same business and same data, but we are not maintaining single database for four people to access the same database. He have his own database, he have his own database, he have his own database, he have his own database. So we have distributed everyone, but same use case, same data. So now if data is putting into the application, I can also see the same data in my application, but we both are not using the same database or same infrastructure. We both are using two different infrastructure. How we are connected using the blockchain network, and how the data is connected, shared between, because we are using the same ledger. So you will get a more clarity over it when you start digging to it in the next slides. But you should understand the distributed ledger concept. It's very simple, very easy if you understand it in a, if you, because people thinks you say single ledger, but you have four servers and four ledgers. No, but how it has been configured is very important, and what role smart contract is playing, if you see, it will be pretty interesting. Okay, I hope this distributed ledger is very clear, and if you are not clear, please go and comment. I can try to help you out in other videos, or I can able to comment and help you out with some reference links where you can go and refer what kind of suggestion I can give. Yeah. Then the another component you should be familiar with Hyperledger Fabric is smart contract. Basically, smart contract is nothing but a piece of code. Okay, it is just a program. This program is deployed onto your blockchain node. So in the maybe on top of your ledger. Okay, you have, in the previous slide, you have your own ledger, right? You have your own infrastructure. On top of it, you are going to deploy and program. Okay, this program basically has some function or something is written. Okay, so one of the key feature of this smart contract is querying your database and transaction database. For example, in your database, you will have a database admin who will be no accessing your database is JDBC and ODBC connection, if application is accessing and see the data. Whereas in blockchain, we don't have direct access as an administrator to see our data. We always depend on the smart contract. And a smart contract, if you see this diagram, so this is our ledger. We have our data over it, and you have this smart contract which is written kind of agreement. Okay, contract is a contract, and digital contract for smart contract. So now return to the ledger. Why, if this no this data, so you use this smart contract and you have been updating you the block, right? So how this, so if in the existing four party existing diagram, you see four party, right? If one of the party have right permission, then he can put the data into the blockchain. The other one just can view the data. Okay, just I want to go back here. You can see four parties, right? Basically, one of them can this one in this four network, this can be restricted for only view only, and he can put the data because he's a logistic. Who is controlling this? Basically, this is controlled by the smart contract. Okay, you can see the smart contract updating the transaction, writing to the ledger. So updating the transaction is just receiving the transaction right now. It sees this person is having the rights to update the database. If no, it won't update in the data ledger. If this person have access to write access to the ledger, then it creates a block. Okay, otherwise don't create the block. So it is a mechanism of encapsulating your information and keep it simple across your network. And it also allow participants to execute the transaction automatically. Yeah, if you see the smart contract example, cost of shipping or any kind of use case can be smart contract, that I will come in detail. Because if I am taking a house, then me and my house owner have the housing contract, right? Basically, I have one copy, he has one copy. So if he changes his copy, I am unaware. If I changes his copy, he is unaware. But we both put it in one blockchain ledger and we both see the same ledger. If I change my data in my ledger, he can see it. If he change the data in the ledger, he can see it. But in the smart contract, we restrict both from changing the data, because I got the home, I got my agreement and I signed it. He also, my housing owner also got signed it. So now we both cannot access, the smart contract won't allow both of them to change or modify the data. We can access, we can download. In case of any modification, I can send a request if customer, if because if yearly, if they want to change the data, some rules will be there and it will go for the validation of my housing owner. And if he wants to change some data in increasing of house rent, then the validation comes to me. If I agree, it will go into my it will go and reflect into my new digital agreement. So this is a simple use case, but there is a lot. This is the first thing with smart contract. If you don't have a smart contract for into the blockchain network or your node, you cannot access your ledger. So people think smart contract is for uh, uh, having a complex use case, or if you think about any transaction. But if you are running with hyperledger fabric, a minimum we call it as chain code or smart, yes, basic chain code or basic smart contract is required at least to do transaction with your ledger. Means you have to put the data to your ledger and retrieve from the ledger, right? For that, at least you need a smart contract. So smart contract is not an optional component, it's required. Okay, but in hyperledger fabric we have some frameworks to create it, the smart contract. Or you can, the best way to create the smart contract is by a Go language. Go language is the programming which supposed to create the smart contract. I hope you are pretty clear with what is smart contract, right? Then consensus. So in Hyperledger Fabric and in the blockchain, basically consensus is one method of keeping our trust. You can see here there's a lot of participants, different, they have different ledgers. What connects all of them into a trust is consensus. So if I am putting a data over here, it will go for validation for all the other parties, and all the other parties uh, need to accept it basically. For example, I'm saying the process of keeping the synchronized. So this kind of approval process. Okay, what is the consensus? You can keep it as approval process or validation in simple way. But in blockchain, we call it as consensus. So I am what happened? For my company. There is a vendor who sends an engineer to service a mechanical part or a engine in the big mission, a production mission. He fix it, but he purchased the parts from other vendor. Okay, he purchased the particular machine has some faulty parts or faulty. He, he want to replace it. He purchased from the other vendor. Okay, now who are involved? The mechanic vendor, the parts vendor, and it's my company finance team, right? Now he purchases from with $2, for example. Okay, for example, $2, and this vendor, this person who purchased from here makes $5 $5 invoice to them. Okay, just a moment. So he makes the $5 invoice to them. $5 invoice. So now what happens? Sorry, excuse me. Sorry for that. So $5 invoice. Now my company receives the invoice from the receives the invoice from this mechanic saying $5. So now actually what he has purchased from that parts company is $2. Number $3 is in the invoice. We are not directly communicating with the parts company. Now what happens, say in this diagram, one company is my parts company, one company is my mechanic vendor, and one company is me, maybe another might be my finance team. Okay, so all sharing the same ledger. When this guy comes and he purchases the product is, when they sell it, they put the $2 price in the ledger, and my finance team sees the part $2. Now what should be this mechanic engineer charge is a service charge. Okay, when you put the service charge as $5 or $6, even the vendor company, the service vendor company also sees the charge he is putting. So there is no point in no manipulating the data and try to get some like instead of 2 rupees, $2 you put $5 or $5 you put $10 between, so no one can validate it, they pay for you, right? But here if they use ledger, final the invoice will be generated in one of their ledger, maybe my finance team ledger generate invoice, consolidating all the data because all the data is in the single ledger. So this is just an example that when they try to go and purchase the product for $2, it comes for validation to the service team, like their own team. They validate it. When invoice is generated, the all the parties. Maybe if my invoice is generated $2 for this part, this validation can be goes to the parts company. They can validate, yes, I have given this product for $2. Then they say, okay, my company will pay directly to them for $2. What are the parts? So consensus is just an approval process. Whenever the approval is happened, then the block has been created and put it in the ledger. If approval is not happening, then the block won't be created. In blockchain, as you know, when you modify the data or when you delete the data, still it creates a new block, right? So for us, you can think in simple, for every action there will be new block, and without if validation is there in the process, then definitely that validation should be approved to create a block. So consensus is one key to keep trust between the parties. Okay, and there is something called auto consensus which you can write in the code. No, write in the code of basically blockchain network itself have auto consensus method, because if I am seeing a data, you are seeing the data, another guy is seeing the data, and tomorrow when I come and say no, hey, it is wrong, you have done this thing wrong, you have done this thing wrong. Already what I'm seeing, you are seeing, right? And when you are not coming back to me, it means you are acknowledging the data. So that is called as kind of auto consensus. Blockchain keep transparency with the data with everyone, and everyone is seeing if something is wrong, anyone can raise the voice or anyone can highlight it, it is wrong. That is the consensus. I hope it is clear for you, but try to understand consensus as the approval process. Okay, then we can say why blockchain is useful. Basically we need to see why we need blockchain and why we need hyperledger fabric to create this blockchain network. So just we're going to compare see the today's system. Okay, in today's system we have a banker, we have a participant, we have another vendor, we have multiple business vendor. Okay, what happens if bank is in record with this person and in record with this person? Okay, but this person have record have to say, for example, this is the banker who gives loan for this person. Okay, but this person gets loan for 3 lakhs to do a project. Okay, but basically the another party who is actually the project owner. Okay, this is the construction owner, maybe the project owner. He says I got only 2 million. Okay, actually the actually bank is giving this party 3 million, but he is updating to this person, I got only 2 million. This person now needs to agree with this person that yes, it is a 2 million and we need to plan the project for 2 million. Okay, because he doesn't have the visibility over the bank or visibility over this party or any other party. So now this party is communicating to this party and this party is communicating to this party. They all work for one single project, okay, or maybe one construction project. Now the it is more difficult that in the network. So each one have their own record, own data for the same project. So basically, I just try to say that today's scenario is a fraud scenario because he's getting 3 million and he's getting he's telling him 2 million. This is just to if something is neutral, like it's less no fraud, then this guy have to maintain the database. This guy have to maintain the database. For bank, they are paying the EMI, right? Basically, if I go and get a house, my documents will go to bank and bank will pay to the uh, builder. Okay, and builder will build the house and he will provide the house to me. Now what happens, and I am paying my loan back to the banker. If I am not getting my house, construction house, within a certain period, still I have to pay my uh, monthly interest to the bank for what I received, and I have to pay it. So all connected for the same house. Okay, one is seller of the house, one is buyer of the house, and another one is giving the no money for the house. Bank is giving, and I am paying back, and I so there is law. If you see here, no, there is no transparency. So once builder gets the money, he does the construction. I was not aware how much he's spending for the constructions, but I am waiting for my home and I am paying my EMI. Bank is just try to get the EMI from me in case my project value is 3 million and I take loan for 5 million. Okay, that case bank can get validation from the builder and builder can validate 3 million, so that these kind of genuine activities and because bank will go bankrupt, right? If lot of loan has been given which is unsafe, if I'm not paying that, then lot of other issues will happen. This is the current scenario where everyone is separated and everyone maintain the same database. Just is a duplication of data, so it's but that is fine, that is fine until it is everything is fine, that is fine. But there are use cases where we need trust and we everyone should be connected to the network. Then we will think, then blockchain is giving the solution. Because right now if you want a solution where everyone want to be in the same network, then you have to put a centralized database and everyone have to get access to the centralized database, or you have to put a replication database, right? No, basically it's a network related. You have to you open the networks, not lot of network from different network. Because if I am in Australia and another in US, I have to open the ports between US and Australia. And between these databases, if someone tries to hack and comes into our database network, then it's a different story altogether. But blockchain connects in a different way. It uses certificate authorization between the networks, so it is securely authenticating each and every node in the public, even though we are in the public network. So we will see how today's scenario with blockchain, if your use case. So here you can see the above same scenario, where the construction. Now what happens? Bank, construction owner, builder, everyone in the same ledger. Okay, this we can do modern process. So now what happens? I am builder is requesting me to pay 1 million. So he is made no, he will get part payment, right? When he construct first floor, he will get some money. Second floor, he will have. So when he is asking me, in the same ledger, it will request me as well as in the bank. Once I validate, okay, you can take 1 million. Bank will pay that 1 million to the construction owner. Now I am not going to the bank and giving the proof saying that my builder is requesting for the money because my construction is started. I am not going to give any kind of documentation, or I am not going to no, take any kind of identification to my banker. Banker is in my same ledger. So when my builder requests me for the money, my banker also gets the notification ledger. So he is getting the source of information from the builder. So when banker releases the money, it goes to my builder. I can see that my ledger is updated. That means banker is paid to the paid to my builder. Now builder will start doing when I receive the money. A banker knows. When I receive the building, means my house. Banker knows that I have received the house and I have to continue to pay the payment till I repay it. Okay, this is one simple scenario to understand this how this helps us more, no, more what's a controlled way and more trusted way. Okay, it's not just storing of data and doing transaction. It's more of we are automating our business in the standard way. And for example, here you can think this as an RBI, and these are also different banks. So maybe ICICI, SBI, and so we all share one KYC. Okay, then if I am a customer of I am a customer of one of this bank. I go to the other bank for other offerings, say for insurance. I have a saving bank account with one banker, and I want to go for another banker to open the insurance amount. Okay, insurance account. Then I no need to give any documents because I already have the KYC ID. They all in same blockchain network. When I give my KYC ID to the new banker, he validates my identity and he provides the product in the same insurance product within the time. So there's lot of use cases. This definitely helps our business to automate it, and it also gives growth in the industry, as well as it brings satisfaction to the customers and to the business. So I hope you understand what difference blockchain can bring into the current situation, how it can change our current way of infrastructure or way of working. Okay, and this is actually high level, but there's a lot more. Then now we comes to Hyperledger Fabric. If you see, Hyperledger Fabric is one of the blockchain project. As I said before, in Hyperledger there is a lot more projects. Hyperledger is one of them, and it has a ledger, it has a smart contract, it manages its participants, its permission. So it fulfills our blockchain project. And also what you need to see is we can also avoid the protocols like proof of work and different kind of protocols, because Hyperledger Fabric they use this MSP, member service provider. Okay, so so the unknown identities like proof of work, unknown identities is not required. Is not a cryptocurrency. The protocol which Hyperledger Fabric is using is PBFT, benzodine, pluggable benzodine fault tolerant protocol. Basically, it's a fault tolerant protocol which replaces the proof of work protocol in the blockchain network, which doesn't require any mining. If you are already aware of the mining, and mining consumes your CPU or RAM or whatever you learned, it doesn't require the mining concept over here. This is going to be a simple TCP kind of protocol which is fault tolerant, because the entire blockchain system we are making for building a trust. Okay, any fault in anywhere, we should actually try to capture. So it's a fault tolerant protocol. So it's a flexible resident fault tolerant, and every member here will be the known member. So everyone will be enrolled trusted membership. So everyone will have the membership, and everyone, we know each and everyone. So how two nodes, like when I said in the previous example, a banker and RBI or different party, how they are connected to each other. Each one have their own membership provider, MSP, and each one have the MSP ID, and with the ID they will get connected. We will see that in later, but no, this is what the now we are entering into the Hyperledger Fabric era. Okay, so this is how I have for the part one. We are going to see more focused on Hyperledger Fabric going forward. How to create our basic network, how to deploy our smart contract, how the solution looks like. Lot more to come. And if you like my explanation, if you understand it, and if you want to follow me, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Please do follow.